Good morning, all of you. In the last class, we discussed about microorganisms and their classification. In this session, we are going to see what is a virus and how viruses are different from microorganisms and some uses of microorganisms. Okay, let us start. First of all, viruses. First of all, viruses. So the viruses are they microorganisms? Yes, the answer is simple. Viruses are microorganisms. Okay, let's say one more question for you. Viruses are microorganisms, but they are not under the category of microorganisms. Why? I repeat the question. Viruses, they are microscopic, but they are not under the category of microorganisms. Why? Okay, before answering this question, we want to discuss about a life cycle of a virus. And we know that the viruses are everywhere, around us. Okay. When a virus is invaded to your body, the viruses can hijack your DNA and gets multiplied. So the multiplication. So they can multiply. So the multiplication is a sign of a life. Okay. Just think about the viruses are outside the host body. When viruses are outside the host body, those viruses can step on into a dormancy period. A dormancy period. A dormancy period means, and the viruses, it can stop all their biological activities and they can take a long deep break. And this long deep breaking period is commonly known as what? Dormancy period. Just think about myself. And I'm going to stop all my biological activities inside my body and I'm taking a long sleep. What I can say? It's a death. And this is a death. So in one hand, the viruses, they are dead material. But in another hand, viruses are living organisms. So there is a contradiction between the dead and living. See. So we had a confusion that whether these viruses, they are organism or not. Whether they are living being or not. But after 1969, Robert Whittaker, he proposed a new theory on this topic. He proposed that viruses are microscopic and also they are living beings. Also they are living microorganisms. So nowadays we are following his theory. Viruses are microorganisms and they are microscopic. So my question is, what the question that was wrong. So the question is itself wrong. But your textbook, it hasn't revised yet. So we want to follow what your textbook says. The textbook says viruses are microscopic, but they are not under the category of microorganisms. But actually, viruses are microscopic. They are also under a subcategory of microorganisms. Okay. So, but now just follow what your textbook says. So this is the difference between the viruses and the microorganisms. And next, some uses. Okay. So the uses of microorganisms. So the mainly uses of microorganisms, all uses of microorganisms we can categorize into three domains. The first is medical uses. And the second is industrial uses. And the last one is agricultural uses. Agricultural, yes. We can start from the last. Agricultural uses. Agricultural uses. Microorganisms plays an important role in agricultural field, and we know that all of them became dead. And a dead material, it has organic matters. And all these organic matters, they are likely to be lysed into the soil. And this process, the lysing of organic material to the soil, is known as what? Decomposition. So, decomposition. So, the decomposition. So, microorganisms play an important role for the process of what? Decomposition. Just think about it's a leaf. And the microorganisms plays an important role for the decomposition. And for the decomposition, after they have broken down all the organic matter in the leaf, after they have broken down all the organic matter in the leaf, what remains is just some humus. Humuses are dark brown. They are dark brown jelly-like substances. They are highly nutritive, and also they can help for the formation of soils. Okay, this is the first uses, decomposition. You may be familiar with the pea plants, the common Pisum sativum, the pea plant, or any type of legume plants. Okay, just think about it's a legume plant. And the legume plants and their roots, they have highly branched, and their roots is all highly branched. And in these roots, on these roots, what we can observe that the presence of a bright, dark-colored, round-like structures, and those structures are known as nodules. So they are nodules. And in that nodules, what we can find out the presence of a bacterium called Rhizobium. Rhizobium bacterium. So the Rhizobium bacterium can fix atmospheric nitrogen to the soil nitrogen. So what is the use of a Rhizobium bacterium? This is a symbiotic association that we know. They can convert atmospheric nitrogen to soil nitrogen. Then why the nitrogen? And then we know that nitrogen is an essential element abundantly helping for the plant for a better growth. So, for the better growth of the plant needs abundant amount of nitrogen. So, the nitrogen is not available in the soil. So, for that purpose, there is a symbiotic association between the Rhizobium bacterium and the pea plant. That is the Rhizobium bacterium. So, not only the Rhizobium bacterium, Nostoc is a free living bacterium, and Acetobacter. Rhizobium, Nostoc, and Acetobacter. And these, the conversion of atmospheric nitrogen to soil nitrogen is known as what? Nitrogen fixation. And those bacteria, they can convert atmospheric nitrogen to soil nitrogen. These all of them are commonly known as what? Nitrogen fixating bacteriums. Nitrogen fixating bacteriums. So we have nitrogen fixating bacteriums. It's a uses of microorganism in agricultural field. Okay, it's industrial uses. Microorganisms are very useful in the industrial field, such as for the making of curd and for the large scale production of the alcohol. And the last one, the large scale production of the acetic acid. You know that for the preparation of the curd, a bacterium is involving, and this bacterium is commonly known as Lactobacillus. Lactobacillus bacterium. When Lactobacillus bacterium, it has trapped in a milk, it can convert milk to the curd. So the Lactobacillus bacterium is helping for the formation of curd from the milk. And next is alcohol. We know that yeast Saccharomyces cerevisiae yeast is a fungi. They can convert sugar to alcohol. So the conversion of sugar to alcohol is commonly known as what? Fermentation. It's commonly known as fermentation. So the process is carried out by a yeast. Is what? It's a fungi. Okay. And next is acetic acid. And the acetic acid bacteriums. Acetic acid bacteriums, they can convert sugar or ethanol directly to the acetic acid during the process of fermentation. So whenever during the process of fermentation, any acetic acid bacteriums, there are some groups of bacteriums, a gram-negative groups of bacterium. When they have trapped in any sugar medium or in any alcohol medium, they can convert sugar or alcohol directly to the acetic acid. They are commonly known as wine spoilage bacteriums. Okay. And next uses medicinal uses or medical uses. Medical uses. So we have a bunch of medical uses are there, but we can, for the production of the drugs and for the production of pellets and or any type of medicines, we are using what? The microorganisms. We can classify these drugs into two main categories. First is antibiotics, and the second is vaccines. Antibiotics and vaccines. Okay, the first of all, antibiotics. Antibiotics, those medicines, they can kill or stop the growth of disease-causing microorganisms. There are some medicines, they can kill or stop the growth of disease-causing microorganisms. They are commonly known as what? Antibiotics. Okay, antibiotics are derived from the fungi and algae. The most of the antibiotics are derived from fungi and algae. And common examples are erythromycin, streptomycin and tetracyclines. And these are some examples. And the first antibiotics is derived from by Alexander Fleming from a fungi known as Penicillium notatum. Okay, and in 1920, so the antibiotics, they can kill or stop. Okay. Example, erythromycin, streptomycin and tetracycline, etc. Okay. And next is vaccine. Okay, the vaccines, the smallpox vaccine, this was discovered by Edward Jenner in 1798. From there onwards, we have vaccines. See, the vaccines are some precautionary medicines. They are prepared medicines of killed or partially killed microorganisms. They are killed or partially killed microorganisms which can trigger the immunity of ours. So they are named as what? Vaccines. From 1798 onwards, we have vaccines. So how the vaccines is working? And we know that the vaccines are killed or partially killed microorganisms. So whenever a lethal microorganisms, when they invaded into our body, what will occur means they can produce some secretions. They can produce some secretions by the product of their biological activity. Such secretions are known as what? Antigens. Some secretions are known as antigen. So whenever the body finds out that the presence of a microorganism inside it, the immunity, the soldier of the body, the immunity, it can produce some secretions against these invaded microorganisms and their secretions. And such secretions are commonly known as antibodies. The antibodies can neutralize the antigen and kill microorganisms. So they can neutralize this antigen and kill microorganisms. This is what whenever you were infected with a disease. Okay. Then why this vaccines? See, just think about, I have a vaccine. It's a killed microorganism. So killed microorganism. Whenever the killed microorganism injected to your body, the immunity can recognize this killed one as a liveful one or a living one. So immediately they started to produce antibodies. So the immunity it has a one power that they can remember all the antigens it has produced. So it have a list of antigens too. So I said you that the vaccines are precautionary medicines. So whenever the actual disease causing microorganism it is likely to invade the host body, the immunity it is use these antibodies against the antigen and the invaded microorganism immediately. So we can trigger our immune system. That's what vaccines. Okay, these are the medicinal uses. Okay, today we have completed viruses and three domains of uses: agricultural, industrial and medicinal uses. Okay.